It is Friday, February the 2nd, and this is The National.
Tonight, a town hall in Nanaimo gets testy for the Prime Minister, exposing the raw feelings underneath pipeline politics.
Donald Trump presses send on a controversial classified memo. Is it step one in an effort to ditch the Mueller investigation?
And those Super Bowl ads made to thrill you are right around the corner. Why there may be more at stake during the TV breaks than on the field.
Pipeline politics in this country are divisive, to say the least. Fights over the environment, economic growth, even the futures of political leaders. This week, the battle was over the construction of the Kinder Morgan Trans Mountain Pipeline, and it got uglier by the day. The NDP premiers of British Columbia and Alberta have been at each other in public over how much more oil gets shipped to the West Coast. And today, the Prime Minister stepped right into the middle of that angry feud.
We need to protect our wildlife, and we need to protect our coastline.
The Prime Minister was in Nanaimo, BC, one of the epicenters of the debate, an attempt perhaps to take the criticism head on, defend rather than deflect.
That a lot of people came out here to engage and to listen with the Prime Minister, to have an opportunity to engage in democracy.
Not surprisingly, it was a rowdy town hall filled with anti-pipeline protesters, many upset over his government's decision to support that pipeline through the province.
You don't have to respect me. You can not vote for me next time. That's no problem. But you don't respect anyone in this room? Then I'm going to have to ask you to leave this room. If you don't.
Trudeau tried over and over again to regain control of the room with limited success.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Sorry,
She's gone now. It's my turn.
At least 4 hecklers were removed by police.
Thank you. The other part of, come on, really? Okay, this is it. Will you please respect the people in this room? Will you please respect the people in this room? Will you please respect the people in this room? No, then please leave. If you're not going to respect the people in this room, you need to leave. That's the rule. Sorry. Show of hands. Who thinks it's time for these people to leave? Okay. Please remove her.
We're seeing a lot more heated moments over pipelines lately. The premiers of British Columbia and Alberta certainly aren't holding back, from restricting bitumen shipments to suspending electricity negotiations. The fight between the two is escalating. As the CBC's Laura Lynch shows us, at the heart of it lies the future of the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion project.
In the battle over pipelines, the picturesque vineyards of the Okanagan could become one battlefield. Alberta is a big market for BC wine. Fort McMurray restaurateur Karen Collins wants that market to dry up.
I removed all our BC wines from our wine list. It's just a small little thing, but I'm hoping other establishments will follow suit.
Talk of a boycott is making some nervous.
We've got a very good network of customers in Alberta, and if they felt that this was necessary to get the point across to the BC government, it could, in the short term, hurt us quite significantly.
The fight is really over this, getting Alberta's bitumen to port in Vancouver by way of the expanded Trans Mountain Pipeline. And BC's new plan for public consultations could tie things up for months. Alberta's response hit back.
We're very focused on finding strategies that will have a greater impact on BC and potentially the BC government, and little impact on Albertans.
Our initiative this week was not provocative or designed to be provocative.
John Horgan is playing it down, emphasizing BC's move was low-key and not threatening.
I would suggest a press release saying we're having a consultation should not be the foundation of a trade war between good friends.
So far, this is mostly a war of words. Both provinces are well aware that a bigger battle would hurt both sides. Roughly $35 billion worth of trade flows between the two provinces each year. Laura Lynch, CBC News, Vancouver.
As Laura hinted there, much of this, maybe most of it, is about politics. There's no love lost between the two NDP governments in BC and Alberta. BC Premier John Horgan struck a deal with the Greens to form government in part by promising to use all tools necessary to stop pipeline construction. This positioning is part of that deal.
I think British Columbians expect me to stand up for their interests, and I'm going to continue to do that.
Alberta Premier Rachel Notley is feeling the heat to defend her province's economic future. Under pressure from a newly united right, she must strike back with words, if not actions.
BC went way outside the lines this week with respect to their assertion that they somehow have the ability to regulate what goes into a pipeline. And so it called for a proportional reaction.
And the Prime Minister, too, is conscious of the politics. He's backing the pipeline, knowing that he currently holds only 3 seats in Alberta and 18 in British Columbia. A little box on some federal forms is causing an awfully big controversy. It's part of the paperwork used to apply for the Summer Jobs Grant program.
As a person of faith, my conscience would not allow me to tick off that box. And I know that is true for millions of people across this country.
New form, new criteria. Applicants must now indicate support for charter rights, including sexual orientation and abortion rights, or risk a loss of the funding. As Katie Simpson explains, none of it is sitting well with some faith and rights groups.
The Toronto City Mission relies on the government's Summer Jobs Grant program to fund camps for kids, including this one for low-income communities.
I like to come to KIC so they serve me food and I get to play in the basketball court.
The faith-based group gets about $70,000 a year to hire students to run the programs for more than 130 kids. But the future of these camps is in question because of the new application form.
We will stand for human rights. We honor human rights, but we can't sign the attestation as it's written.
The Liberal government now requires all applicants to check a box confirming they respect human rights. That includes LGBT rights and a woman's right to choose.
For a group that doesn't want to tick off that box that clearly says you need to believe in reproductive rights, then it's asking them to do something that's contrary to their beliefs and contrary to their constitutional rights.
The government made the change after receiving complaints that anti-abortion groups were getting the funding. The Prime Minister defended his decision today, saying this is not about faith-based groups.
Is the core mandate of the organization, the activities that organization is doing, is going to be, for example, distributing flyers of aborted fetuses. If you have an organization that wants to do that, you can do that. Just don't expect the government to give you funding.
Dave Addison has written a letter explaining why his group still won't tick the box, and he's hoping the government will still give funding to the mission.
Many faith-based organizations, our focus is on the poor, the widow, the orphan, the refugee, the new immigrant, the children. And these are the people that are going to be most affected.
He warns these kids will be the ones who get hurt if the funding isn't there. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Ottawa.
A staffer in the Prime Minister's office has left his position after an investigation into allegations of inappropriate behavior. The report into those allegations was concluded today. Claude-Éric Gagné, who was a senior staff member, was on forced leave since early November. The conclusions of the report have not been made public, but in a statement to CBC News tonight, Gagné says, "I strongly deny the allegations that have been brought to me. This process has been extremely stressful personally. To preserve my health and to prevent becoming a source of distraction for the team that I respect, I decided to resign." Okay, Donald Trump threw Washington into turmoil today, probably every day, but this time it was about the release of a controversial classified document, Adrienne.
Absolutely. Known simply as the memo, it's become the talk of the town and a lightning rod for the entire country.
If this was something that was done in orchestration with the White House, something that was done with the knowledge of the president in the sense that this was orchestrated by the White House, that could go to the issue of obstruction of justice.
To my knowledge, this is the first time in American history that the FBI and Justice Department have been weaponized through the actions of a political party.
Okay, so it's no surprise that Republicans and Democrats are split, but the memo has much wider implications. Its 3.5 pages accuse the FBI, a bedrock American institution, of political bias. And at the core of it all is Russia. It's meddling in the U.S. presidential election and the investigation into any ties to the Trump campaign. So the memo says that when the FBI applied for surveillance on the Trump campaign advisor Carter Page, it relied on the so-called Steele dossier, and that was misleading. According to Republicans, here's why. The dossier was once described by former FBI Top Gun James Comey as salacious and unverified. Christopher Steele himself had been an FBI source, but was let go for telling a media outlet about that relationship. The FBI failed to tell the judge about Steele's anti-Trump financial and ideological motivations. No mention, for instance, that Steele's work was funded by the Clinton campaign and the Democratic Party. And here's the capper. The FBI's former second-in-command testified his agency wouldn't have tried to get a warrant without the information in the Steele dossier. Of course, the FBI and the Democrats disagree with all of this. Not just that the memo misrepresents the evidence it points to, it also fails to mention, among other things, that Carter Page had been on the FBI's radar as early as 2013. There's a lot at stake in this political fight, including, as Lindsay Duncombe tells us, the future of some key players in the Russia investigation.
It seems Donald Trump sees the memo as proof of his much-tweeted accusations. FBI leadership is against him.
I think it's a disgrace what's happening in our country. And when you look at that, and you see that, and so many other things, what's going on, a lot of people should be ashamed of themselves, and much worse than that.
But where the president sees vindication, Democrats see deliberate deception. They accuse the Republican chair of the House Intelligence Committee of omitting facts, selectively choosing evidence and putting it all together in a way
that cherry picks information that doesn't tell the reader the whole of the application, and is, as the DOJ and FBI have said, deeply misleading and factually inaccurate.
The concern now, what will Trump do with the memo? Democrats say any move to fire the head of the Russia investigation, Robert Mueller, or his boss, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, would create a constitutional crisis. Asked if he is likely to do so, Trump was coy.
You figure that one out.
The FBI opposed the memo's release. Some speculate Director Christopher Wray could resign over this. And there is concern this unprecedented political conflict could jeopardize future investigations.
One of the damaging parts of this is that would you share intelligence with the United States of America if you thought that in a very political way the Republicans, one party in the Congress, should decide, I'm going to distort the facts and put this out because it serves, I am a stooge for the President of the United States.
Do you want Rosenstein out?
The reaction to the memo.
The truth is, firing anyone associated with the Russia investigation right now could land Trump in even more trouble. But when that investigation is concluded, if his supporters don't like its conclusions, they now have a reason not to believe them. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Washington.
So there's one more thing to consider here, Ian, that the Democrats have their own memo. It's a 10-page rebuttal to the one we've been talking about. They want it released. The Republican-led committee, which voted to make its memo public, has said no to the Democrat memo.
All right, Adrian, let's turn now to a tense moment in a U.S. courtroom when a father tried to take vengeance against the man who sexually assaulted his daughters. The target, the former U.S. gymnastics doctor, Larry Nasser.
Well, I'm going to have to get
stuck. He lunged across the courtroom. As you can see, he had to be restrained. This is the last of 3 sentencing hearings for Nasser, who has been convicted of sexually abusing young gymnasts. More than 150 women and girls gave impact statements during the previous hearing, which wrapped up last week. That angry father was Randall Margraves. He just listened to 2 of his daughters give their victim impact statements, and he was hearing some of the details for the first time. Before he charged at Nasser, he had a question for the judge, which initially was met with laughter.
I would ask you to, as part of this sentencing, to grant me 5 minutes in a locked room with this demon.
I have.
Would you do that?
That is not.
Yes or no?
No, sir, I can't.
Would you give me 1 minute?
You know that I can't do that. That's not how our legal system.
Well, I'm gonna have to.
Stay down. Stay down.
I want that stone behind your back. Give me 1 minute with that.
Margrace later apologized to the court. The judge did not charge him with contempt, but he could still be charged with assault. He later spoke to reporters.
I delivered unintentionally my 3 daughters to a demon who had his own twisted and sick agenda for his own demented desires. Now I have to live with the fact that I failed to protect my daughters. When I had to hear what was said in those statements, and I have to look over at Larry Nasser shaking his head, that's when I lost control. I'm not advocating that everyone should do that. I feel very remorseful, very apologetic. I was embarrassed. I thank Judge Cunningham and all the court system for their leniency on me. This is cannot be a lawless society. I know that. I lost control, but I regained control later in a holding cell.
So, however ill-advised, even from his own perspective, that angry impulse was, it's easy to understand how emotions can boil over. Cases like this are traumatic. And that prompted us to look into the help available for victims and witnesses on this side of the border. Support programs vary across the country. In Ontario and BC, for example, courts provide crisis intervention and emotional support. Nova Scotia and Manitoba provide a number of free legal services. They don't provide emotional counseling, but will help you find it. But there is federal help for all Canadians in extreme cases such as murder of a child, as well as financial support.
We have a lot more still ahead for you tonight. Russia marks 75 years since its greatest victory and its deadliest battle. Stalingrad changed the course of the Second World War. Years later, bodies are still being found and stories unearthed.
But first, we'll take you to France and the port city of Calais, which once again finds itself at the heart of the migrant crisis, and tonight, an increased police presence in the wake of an all-out brawl.
And a little later on The National, we've heard a lot about the high stakes of Super Bowl ads. Tonight, we'll give you an inside look.
We've got to get to 225 million organic impressions. If we don't, you know you're going to be fired, right?
I think that's been written somewhere. If we don't hit that number, that
in blood.
Yes, in blood. Oh, yes, blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
Parents may prefer puffalumps, but the cute, cuddly toys are in for some competition, and the competition could get ugly. Not just ugly, but gross.
Certainly grossness is going to be a very important segment of 1987's toys.
Splitting headache. It's part of the Madballs line, and if it's not gross enough for you, there are Madball comic books too. Gross toys are becoming popular on kids' TV shows, and not just during the commercials.
On a good day.
The toy is called Slime, and department stores can't get enough of them.
Slime Pit we're totally right out of, but it seems to have done well. Like, you know, just people just buy it right off your shelves. And the same as the Madballs, as soon as I had them in, they were gone, like within a couple of weeks. You know, it was incredible.
Isn't this kind of twisted?
Yeah, I think so.
Research shows little boys don't want to play with cute little toys, so the toy companies are coming up with dolls such as this one. Stinkor, the evil master of odors. He smells so bad he even wears his own gas mask.
I can't believe the smell off that thing.
What does he smell like?
Are you a skunk? Kind of.
Jesus. Well, I didn't have these kind of toys when I was a kid.
Some type of soap, like an awful smelling. I couldn't tell you, really.
It's almost like a dried bile.
dried bile.
He just smells like bad plastic or something.
If you think stink ore is bad, well, hold your nose, because next year it's breath blasters. Squeeze them and watch out in your choice of garbage mouth, dog breath, or death breath. Pass the mouthwash. Jerry McIntosh, CBC News in the toy department.
Police are out in force in the French port of Calais tonight, trying to prevent a repeat of scenes like this. Yesterday, fighting broke out between groups of migrants hoping to make their way to the UK. 22 people were injured, including several who were shot. As Thomas Degla explains, the violence shows the dark desperation in the search for a better life.
For police, it was an all-out manhunt. The search for a gunman they believe to be a 37-year-old Afghan national. For the victims, a reminder of how helpless they've become, desperate for a better life, but still no closer to attaining it. Yesterday, the tension coming to a head as Eritreans and Afghans waited in line for food handouts. The violence sending 22 victims to hospital, with 5 teenagers treated for gunshot wounds. For the migrants today, it was the same agonizing sight as always. Trucks crossing the English Channel, the young men just waiting to hop on board and reach Britain. Locals in Calais are faced with growing crowds of migrants in their streets, again drawn to the port city in increasing numbers. Perhaps spurred by this 2 weeks ago. A meeting and a joint plan by the French president and the British Prime Minister. Ironically, they hope to discourage illegal crossings.
We will reinforce the security infrastructure with extra CCTV, fencing and infrared technology at Calais and other border points.
But Theresa May also pledged to speed up some refugee claims for minors, leading to a surge of as many as 200 arrivals in Calais in just a matter of days.
That people, for example, arrive based on untrue rumours without a change in the circumstances of people's living conditions, then it's hard to expect anything else.
Even for an area once known as the jungle, an encampment of nearly 10,000 migrants, the French Interior Minister called yesterday's brawls unprecedented.
Gérard
Collomb blamed the violence on gangs and human smugglers. The gunshots and metal bars mark a dramatic surge in brutality, but the young men are desperate and tensions running high, again making Calais all the more dangerous and unpredictable. Thomas Dagler, CBC News, London.
While European authorities struggle with how to deal with the migrants already there, more keep coming across the Mediterranean in rickety, unsafe boats. And as we've seen before, many of them don't make it. We've learned today that yet another migrant boat has capsized off the Libyan coast. About 90 migrants, most from Pakistan, are feared dead. Aid workers do say that a few survived.
When we come back, we're keeping a close eye on a developing story in Ontario, a crash involving a bus and a van, children among the injured. We'll hear from our reporter on the scene.
And Russia remembers its bloodiest battle, a victory over the Nazis, but at what cost? Chris Brown will explore the lasting legacy of the Battle of Stalingrad. Next.
Altogether about 70,000.
70,000 all around.
All around at this memorial.
And how many soldiers are there left to find?
100,000.
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands.
The morning of the first day was when we first got the remotely controlled arm made by the Canadians into business.
Now an inside shot. I'm at the manipulator operator station, and Jack has taken this movie right here as I brought the plasma diagnostics package out of the payload bay for the first time. We put the manipulator arm through the loaded operations, that is, with an attached payload for the first time in its ever. and exercised all the very complex sequences that the manipulator arm has built into it. Some of those involve manually positioning the arm, others with the software doing it automatically, and our job merely to monitor for safety considerations. We operated the arm night and day, so when the sun went down, we turned on lights in the payload bay and found that they were adequate to see it visually as well as operate our television system.
Periodically, it would show up in the overhead window as you see it pictured here, and then it would be moved to the forward part of the spacecraft up over the nose to make some measurements. And it was spectacular to watch it come real close and silently but smoothly move to its next point in the sequence. And this gives you the full appreciation of the total spectacle of the background. This is a picture that was taken as we were going over the Baja Peninsula in an ascending pass over the United States.
I'm bringing the plasma diagnostic package back in to latch it back down in its mounting mechanism. And this was one of the big questions on the flight, how well that mechanism would work. We found that the task was much easier than it had been done during any of the ground tests. In fact, the whole thing, which had been anticipated and planned to take maybe as much as 30 minutes, we did on 3 separate occasions in less than 5 minutes each time. And finally, here you see the arm being put back down in its cradle, its mounting mechanism, this in a backup mode, which is the crudest mode. If the whole primary system failed, we tested that backup mode and found that that whole thing of cradling the arm and rolling it inboard, as we're doing here, was very easily done, even with the lack of instrumentation that the backup system gives you.
One of the things we really enjoyed the most about being there was the ability to get around very quickly and easily. We could be anywhere in the spacecraft in a flash, and this is the head-first approach down through the hatch and down to the mid-deck where we had these stowage lockers in which we had lots of apparatus, equipment, clothing, and books and other kinds of things that we needed. If you didn't like the head-first approach, you could always do the feet-first one and glide down just about that quickly and be right where Mission Control wanted you to be. We had a number of experiments in the cabin to take care of. This is the plant growth unit that operated perfectly through the entire mission. We would read the temperature in the 6 plant growth compartments 3 times a day and read those back to the ground. One of the things that you'd all enjoy is the ability to manage packages very readily and easily up there. No need to set anything down, you just leave it float in space.
Here I'm working the electrophoresis experiment. I've taken one of the sample columns after it's been frozen in the main apparatus and stowing it in a holder and putting it back in a liquid nitrogen.
Tonight on The National, at least 8 people are critically injured after a coach bus collided with a van about 125 kilometers north of Toronto. The bus company says more than 40 high school students were on board. They were headed home from a day trip to Blue Mountain. And Adrian Chung has been on the story for us this evening. Let's start, Adrian, with the 8 people in the van who were hurt in this collision.
Yeah, that's right. Of the 8 people who are now in critical condition, we know that 2 of them were adults, 6 children. Several of them had to be airlifted, taken to Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto. But that isn't it. In that bus that's now being towed away behind me, there were over 40 high school students in there. They were from Hamilton, and they were coming here for a ski trip. Here's OPP on a little bit more on what they saw at the time of the crash.
Many people were injured, as I said, varying injuries. Triage took place. Some people were sent from the scene to a community center nearby. Others were sent directly to hospital in Collingwood, and from there airlifted to Toronto.
Adrian, we can see the snow on the ground, but it looks, relatively clear now. What about the conditions at the time of the collision?
Well, Ian, at the time, investigators said that there were some snow squalls here in the area. I can also tell you in the last 5 to 10 kilometers of when we were driving up here, the conditions became quite slick, quite slippery. So quite a bit of a difference of what you see just south of here in this small town here. As to whether or not that is a direct result of this crash, investigators don't yet know, but at least the bus driver has told CBC News that at the time of the crash, it was the van that veered into their lane when they were going southbound. Ian?
All right, Adrian Chung, just outside Stayner, Ontario, north of Toronto. Thank you. We're learning more about a deadly chopper crash in Quebec. It happened last night around 9 Eastern time, about 110 kilometers northeast of Montreal. The four-seat Robinson 44 went down in a snow-covered field and then burst into flames. The pilot, his daughter, and her friend were killed. There is no word yet on what caused this crash, but Transportation Safety Board investigators have been dispatched.
We are a party of all the working people, organized and unorganized.
Dave Barrett has died. He was the province's first NDP premier, elected back in 1972. And while his time in office was short, just 3 years, he left a long legacy. His government brought in the Agricultural Land Reserve, which protects farmland in BC, including around Vancouver, and established the public auto insurer, ICBC, both of which are still in place today. Barrett later went on to become a federal MP and was appointed to the Order of Canada. He died this morning after a long battle with Alzheimer's at the age of 87.
For Russians, today is the anniversary of a great national victory. On February 2nd, 1943, the epic Battle of Stalingrad ended with the battered remnants of the invading German forces surrendering to the Red Army, which itself had been on the very edge of defeat just months before. Driving into Stalingrad, the Germans seemed invincible, smashing every force that opposed them. But the Soviets held on until waves of reinforcements and the brutal Russian winter helped turn the tide. The defenders then went on the attack and with overwhelming force slowly crushed the Nazi war machine. Victory, but at an incredible cost. The Soviet losses at Stalingrad were staggering. Over 478,000 troops killed from one battle. To give you a sense of scale, the total number of Canadian combat deaths from all major wars this country has ever participated in is just over 117,000. So the scale of that loss all those years ago has really given the Battle of Stalingrad a mythic status. So Chris Brown took a look at the battle, which for a lot of Russians has become a metaphor for the resilience of the motherland.
With her sword raised and mouth open in a scream, the Motherland Call statue is Russia's most powerful symbol of sacrifice, towering more than 20 stories over the battlefield of Stalingrad.
She is showing to the west to Berlin, and by her sword, she is calling, "Let's go, come on."
Mikhail Shuvarikov is a guide in the long-since renamed city of Volgograd.
For all Soviet Russian people, and maybe entire the world, Stalingrad was like the D-Day was for Americans. But Stalingrad was nothing to compare with D-Day.
1.1 million Soviet soldiers were killed or wounded in this single battle. That's more than all of the U.S. casualties for the entire Second World War. 35,000 soldiers just buried underneath the statue.
And just underneath, and altogether about 70,000.
70,000 all around.
Yeah, all around at this memorial.
And how many soldiers are there left to find?
100,000.
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands.
Every year, the fields around the city yield more of Stalingrad's dead. Most buried exactly where they died, some still clad in boots and helmets. Shuvarikov volunteers to take part in the searches.
Lots of relatives still have hope to find their relative, to know anything, where they died, how they died, and just to have a place where to come and to put a flower.
This past summer, his team uncovered an astonishing 500 bodies. When you see the bodies laid out on the field, what is that like?
It is moving. Yeah. Just you hold your breath and thinking what they did.
Most will never be identified. At the end of the summer, the remains are laid out with a burning flame next to each body and reburied. Another volunteer, Andrei Oreshkin, keeps a collection of items that might link a soldier to a living family member if anyone comes searching. He says the 42-year-old soldier wrote to his wife that he wanted to return home so desperately he stuck two helmets together, hoping in vain that would stop a bullet. Oreshkin says the Soviet Union long downplayed the extent of the casualties at Stalingrad, so decades that could have been spent searching were lost. In another 80 years, he says, we will still be finding the dead of Stalingrad. Of the soldiers who are actually there, but a handful remain. Anatoly Kozlov, now just shy of his 97th birthday, is a former tank commander. He now speaks not of the death he witnessed, but of patriotism. Here in Stalingrad, a miracle took place, he said, of the victory over the Nazis. This will likely be the last major commemoration that includes veterans from the battle, but the enormity of the losses ensures Stalingrad's dead will remain a constant presence. Chris Brown, CBC News in Volgograd.
And it wasn't just the Soviets who suffered at Stalingrad. The German invasion force was over 250,000 men strong at the beginning. A mere 90,000 survived the battle, only to be marched thousands of kilometers away to Siberian prison camps, where most died of cold and overwork. Only about 5,000 ever saw Germany again. Now, if you want, please take a look at some of the powerful images captured by our team in Russia. Each one tells a piece of this story. You can find them on our Instagram feed, to some of the photos we post every day. Follow us at CBC The National.
When we come back, we'll take you inside an advertising company as it bets big on a commercial for this weekend's Super Bowl.
I hate local business. Shut it down.
We think with a little bit of physical comedy that we're trying to ensure that we have kind of a Super Bowl moment that people will be talking about the next day at work.
And remember, you can go deeper on the stories of the day earlier in the day by subscribing to our newsletter, cbcnews.ca/The National. The National Today takes you inside our journalism every afternoon.
On May 11th, 1940, Winston Churchill chaired the first meeting of his wartime cabinet, and one of the subjects they discussed was what to do with what the new prime minister considered enemy aliens or suspect persons. They were German or Austrian nationals who, for one reason or another, were stranded on British soil during the outbreak of the war.
Many of these Austrians and Germans were Jews who had escaped from Nazi persecution. They were businessmen and professional people, students, far from dangerous, and yet they were lumped together with the regular prisoners of war and shipped to internment camps in this country. Last month, a group of these Jewish internees held a reunion in Montreal. We attended the reunion and spoke with some of them, and also with historian Paula Draper.
My name is Julius Pfeiffer, Dr. Julius Pfeiffer. I lived till March 33 in Düsseldorf. I was judge. Left March 33, fled to Amsterdam, lived there till the 10th of May 1940. And when Amsterdam surrendered and the Germans came in from the east side, I left from the west side, went to Ermuiden, fled to England. They put me up in Pentonville, maximum security prison. And when I asked the governor whether this was not against the international regulation for the protection of civilian internees during wartime, he said, chap, you don't realize that there's a war going on. So my opinion is since that time that regulations for the protections of civilian internees during wartime apply only in peacetime.
People were convinced that England was going to be overrun by the Nazis, and they started to look around to see who they could protect themselves from, and they saw this large group of enemy nationals who had, though they had been through a tribunal system and had been classified as friendly to the cause, were still enemy nationals. There was panic on every level of society, and the government was no exception. But the panic was particularly profound in the military. And the military advised the government that these people who were roaming around should be at least put in one place so that they could be watched. And the government accepted that advice. And so in May of 1940, internment of refugees began.
Shortly after their internment in England, the male refugees were deported to Canada and Australia. In Canada, their home for the next couple of years would be camps like this one. This film from the National Film Board archives is titled simply Enemy Aliens.
Are we winning? No. See, it's so small from back here, I can't really tell. Look! It's the Bud Knight. It's the Bud Knight. We're saved. Yes.
Rescuing peasants is one thing, but this hero was really created to save the fortunes of Bud Light. America's top-selling beer is fizzling. Sales dropped last year like never before, so it's banking on buzz from this campaign, which comes together on Super Bowl Sunday. When it comes to getting eyeballs on commercials, this weekend's big game is still unbeatable. Super Bowl ads are part of our culture and a big draw in their own right. Of course, they don't always work. Tonight, Aaron Salzman takes you inside the industry as big players prepare for their judgment day.
The extravagant spectacle that is the Super Bowl, where the brutal battle on the field is matched only by the cutthroat competition between advertisers.
It's one of those things, as soon as you get it and you know that you're going to be working on something for Super Bowl, you kind of think, oh, jeez.
Heather Chambers knows that gut-wrenching tension well. Her agency, Leo Burnett Toronto, has more trophies than Tom Brady.
Perfect, looks really good.
This Canadian team has had ads in each of the last 3 Super Bowls. 2 were huge hits.
Show me what it looks like to run like a girl.
Always like a girl transformed insult into empowerment.
Show me what it looks like to run like a girl. What does it mean to you when I say run like a girl?
It means run fast as you can.
The spot was a runaway success. It went viral on social media, won the Emmy for Outstanding Commercial. Then, last year, another triumph. Mr. Clean, Cleaner of Your Dreams, ranked by some as last year's best Super Bowl commercial.
Sarah? Sarah? Clean enough?
It became one of the top 10 most viewed ads on YouTube of 2017. So popular, it hit the talk show circuit.
The Super Bowl ad that everyone's talking about that featured Mr. Clean, sort of, did you see this one, as the object of sexual desire?
You know you're lonely when you first start fantasizing about a corporate logo.
This is what happens when you hit it big at the Super Bowl. Conventional TV audiences are shrinking, and even the NFL's regular season numbers are down. But Super Bowl ratings are rock solid, consistently over 100 million viewers around the world. With most programming, people try to avoid the ads, but about 25% of the Super Bowl audience tunes in just for the commercials. That means the ads alone have almost as many viewers as the Oscars. It's why Super Bowl ad rates have more than doubled over the last decade. This year, companies will pay upwards of $5 million for a 30-second slot, a figure that doesn't include production costs.
That was the #1 spot last year, according to the Kellogg panel.
Professor Tim Calkins at Northwestern University studies Super Bowl ads.
In the world of marketing, it's just the biggest, most important, most high-pressure event of the year.
For years, the Kellogg School of Management has been tracking Super Bowl commercials in real time as they air during the game. Business students mark ads using 6 criteria with grades from A to F. The results are followed closely by the advertising industry. And history shows great ads can be an instant boost to a company's bottom line. Volkswagen says this ad, called The Force, sparked an immediate jump in sales.
What's that?
Budweiser Super Bowl ads have become social phenomena, but there have also been some remarkable missteps.
Advertisers on the Super Bowl can get in real trouble if they go after 3 things, right? The first thing is animals. You do not want to be mean to animals.
Look, it's Buddy! I'm so glad you made it home. Because I just sold you on this website I built with GoDaddy. Ship them out!
Second, children. You've got to be careful of children. People are very sensitive.
Kids, come on! Test baby. Why hotel when you can home away?
And the third one is cultural groups.
The people of Tibet are in trouble. Their very culture is in jeopardy. But they still whip up an amazing fish curry.
Groupon was trying to suggest saving money leaves more for charity. Nobody got that idea, and Groupon was attacked on social media for mocking a human rights crisis.
That was one of the great fiascos of all time when it comes to Super Bowl advertising.
After that fiasco, everyone involved is long gone. Groupon quit doing TV ads for 3 years, and the Super Bowl for 7 years. At the offices of Groupon's new ad agency, I meet John Wild, Groupon's Vice President of Marketing.
It's been a while since your last Super Bowl.
Yes, 2011, we had a rather inauspicious ad. I wasn't, you know, there were things in it that weren't so well received, and we've learned from that. Humor is incredibly important in Super Bowl. You have to stand out. You know, you have a lot of companies spending a lot of money, but you need to be considered by it, and you need to be thoughtful.
This year, they're finally coming back to the big game with this.
When you use Groupon in your neighborhood, you're not only saving money, you're also supporting local business.
The ad is already out, and the brand's new spokesperson is a breakout star in Hollywood, Tiffany Haddish.
Let me tell you something.
The reason she's the new face of the brand, well, see for yourself.
Well, I got me a Groupon to go on this swamp tour.
Without being paid, she was already telling stories about being a Groupon groupie. The company's ad agency says that genuine enthusiasm is a sales touchdown.
She is a super user. She's in our 1 percentile of users, so she's a big fan. She's super authentic.
O'Keefe, Reinhardt, and Paul has clients like Taco Bell and Turtle Wax, but Groupon's commercial will be this agency's first Super Bowl ad.
There's definitely pressure. It's a very big deal for us. As far as, you know, we're a relatively young company.
Just going to make it funny.
Yeah. While the new campaign pushes how a big company like Groupon can help small businesses by bringing them customers, John Wolfe wants the core message of selling deals pushed hard after the Super Bowl.
You are leaving money on the table unless you use Groupon. I really want to set that up.
They won't know if their new ad is a winner until Sunday. They're playing it safe, but Reinhardt is sure this spot won't bring on a backlash.
I hate local business. Shut it down.
When you save in your neighborhood, it feels so good. It didn't feel good for him, no.
We think with a little bit of physical comedy that we're trying to ensure that we have kind of a Super Bowl moment that people will be talking about the next day at work.
In this high-stakes game, a lot is hanging on a low-blow joke.
We've got to get to 225 million organic impressions. If we don't, you know you're going to be fired, right?
I think that's been written somewhere. If we don't hit that number, that
in blood.
Yes, in blood. Yes, blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
And that is no joke. In the ad business, Super Bowl Sunday really is Judgment Day. Aaron Saltzman, CBC News, Chicago.
Back here, I can't really tell.
Remember that Bud Light ad we showed you? It's the big budget climax of a campaign that launched last summer called Dilly Dilly. It's a made-up medieval catchphrase. Dilly Dilly! Beer distributors were skeptical until the online metrics took off. People now Google Dilly Dilly more than 1.1 million times a month. And mentions of Bud Light on social media spiked over the last 4 months. But sales have yet to budge. We'll see if the Super Bowl takes Dilly Dilly to the next level.
Our moment of the day is next. But first, a young composer and violinist is honoring the legacy of one of Canada's most iconic pianists. Andrew Ford has reinterpreted Glenn Gould's work for a concert tour all about diversity. The tour kicks off in Toronto at Kerner Hall as part of Black History Month. And as Ford tells us, this isn't your average Gould tribute.
So I first heard of Glenn Gould when I was about 7. That's my first real memory. I was driving with my dad in the car, and my father was like, "This is Glenn Gould, this is someone you should know." Mostly what I'm focusing on is his idea of North, which was a CBC radio documentary that got released in 1967. And what he did was talk to various Canadians about what they thought the North was to them and how they identified as Canadians. We created some original music for Shad, for Esquay, for William Leathers, and some others. So we're going to hear, what it means to identify as a Black Canadian, as an Indigenous person, as a young person even. And so it provides an opportunity for the real diverse mosaic of what present-day Canada is to really be celebrated.
In this era of rapid transportation, the television cameraman is by no means earthbound. Aerial film can often give a completely new perspective to a particular story.
We'll be flying up over the river towards Sorel, in that area. We should be gone about a half an hour. I've got to film back in a hurry, so I'll have to play it pretty fast.
Okay, well, that's fine. And South Clair with Montreal ATC and good Quebec to destination.
Good. Well, we'll get underway.
The rapid growth of Montreal is one example. With the skyline changing almost daily as new buildings appear, it is necessary to maintain a completely up-to-date stock of aerial footage of familiar scenes.
The site of a most unusual city was picked away back when the New World first began. You can't imagine just how many wonderful things were put together, but I've been there and I can. They chose the shores of the mighty St. Lawrence so they'd have a river running by. In the background they added a mountain to paint a picture against.
And where does all the film go? A lot of it is fed each day through a closed-circuit hookup to the network headquarters in Toronto.
Yeah, we're all ready to go. We'll send you a little bit of tone. That's at -8. Is that all right with you? Okay.
In this way, viewers across the country get an opportunity to see events that are happening in Montreal. To fly this film from city to city would waste many hours. But through this closed-circuit hookup, items can be exchanged in minutes with points across the country, and in many cases with the CBS and NBC networks in the United States.
Expo has welcomed visitors from many far-flung places in the world, most recently from the state of Hawaii.
Add to this a syndication film service.
On the next Heartland, a shocking crime.
Break-ins have been on the rise in the area, and chances are it was just a random hit.
Was it random? Or is there a target? Heartland, Sunday at 7 on CBC.
We're live on The National tonight. Rose McGowan will not be coming to Canada after all. The former actress was scheduled to be in Toronto on Monday promoting her new memoir, Brave. In it, she details her sexual assault allegation against Hollywood film producer Harvey Weinstein. But today, a publicist said the rest of the book tour has been canceled due to, quote, unforeseen circumstances. Weinstein has denied the allegations. And after days of volatility, North American markets hit their biggest weekly losses in 2 years. You can see the TSX down almost 255 points today. The Dow down nearly 666. The U.S. decline followed new jobs data showing the strongest annual wage growth since 2009. Good news, of course, for many workers, but it could signal higher inflation and interest rate hikes.
So, the North American groundhogs have spoken, so to speak, and to no one's major surprise, their forecast was mixed at best. But Nova Scotia's Shubenacadie Sam is in the spotlight for another reason. After failing to see his shadow, the rodent tried to make his great escape. Luckily, the CBC's Brett Ruskin leapt into action, caught Sam before it was too late, but Sam got a bit of revenge.
Another heroic Brett Ruskin moment.
Did he bite you?
He bit me in the... Oh my God. Whoa! Whoa! Ow! Sorry.
Yay, Brett! That's worthy of a toast interview!
Another heroic Brett Ruskin moment.
Did he bite you?
He bit me in the... Oh my God.
Okay, he bit him. We should say that Brett later tweeted a video of himself getting a needle from a doctor saying, you know, thanks, Sam.
I would have just let him go. You know who doesn't normally love those Groundhog Days, other than me? The people who forecast every day using this thing called science. Take a look at this clip from the 60s. It's meteorologist Percy Saltzman, and he decides to chime in the background.
What does that mean?
6 more weeks of winter.
6 more weeks of winter. Goodness gracious.
It's a lie!
That's all. I forgot. Percy was within hearing range of that. Well, it's your word against Charlie's, Percy.
He seemed genuinely angry.
Yes,
we decided to ask some of our meteorologists from across the country about Groundhog Day.
Don't even get me started on these furry prognosticators, these furry forecasters.
For one day, halfway through the crazy winter, the groundhogs appear and they take some of the pressure off. And let's be honest, with their accuracy track record, they're only making us look better.
Am I a little bitter that meteorologists have to work all year round and then groundhogs get all the glory? Maybe. But I do appreciate the levity they bring to Canadians on what is often the harshest part of winter.
So do I have a problem with our groundhog forecasters? I'd say yes. But they are cute, though. I'll give them that.
I'm meteorologist Ryan Snodden, and hey, I'm better than a groundhog.
So we each have time for one quick thought. Let me say this is the first time on The National we've had a grandfather and son on the show, Percy and Aaron Saltzman, on the same show. Kind of neat.
Wow. Well, I have nothing to say now. I can't top that. I was just going to talk about how groundhogs are actually rodents. That's all I was going to say.
And I want to say that I'm a little bit worried about Brett. A few weeks ago, he nearly blew away at Peggy's Cove, and now this. I think I'm going to sign him up for the hostile environment course because it looks a little sketchy.
Just let the groundhog go.
That is the national for February 2nd, Groundhog Day. Good night.
Let's start the show again.